it's my biggest privilege to cover their story. It was amazing. I mean, to be able to be the first person to tell that story was so amazing. And it's the first time I think you featured me in one of your articles.
Well,
so then I knew I made it. Then I knew I made it. So,
Stop it. Welcome back to another episode of Good Things with myself, Brent Lindeque, the Good Things guy. I am flippin' excited for my guest today. You have seen his stories. You might not even know that you follow him. I sometimes notice how his videos get shared on WhatsApp, literally taken from his different platforms and shared to share good stories, lekker stories, cool stories from South Africa to the world. I'm speaking about Cool Story Bru. It is Bru. Do I say Bru?
Yes, that's it.
Is it a Cape Town thing?
Yeah, that's South African slang, yeah, Cape Town. Because, Cool Story Bro is kind of like a saying. That's a cool story, bro. So I thought I'd put a South African twist on it. Cool Story Bru.
Cool Story Bru, but that's not his name. His name's Austin.
Yes.
And I've invited him onto the show today to speak about the man behind this legendary platform that you've created. I think it started in 2023. I Googled, and I found out that the Facebook page was sort of created in 2023. Yeah. But before we get to there, let's hear a little bit about you. So I mentioned you grew up in Cape Town. You're from Cape Town. Is that where you currently are?
Yeah, firstly, thanks, Brent, for that. Those kind words means a lot coming from you. So thank you very much.
Stop it.
But yeah, born in Cape Town, so always lived in Cape Town. Proudly South African, love South Africa. And yeah, I'm 26 now, so learning as much as I can.
Yeah.
As quickly as I can. And yeah, the Cool Story Bru channel has been such a blessing, such an awesome opportunity. It's grown into something much bigger than I could have expected. And yeah, it's easy creating content for South Africans because South Africans are so fun, so full of life, entertaining. They engage with content so well, whether it's good or bad. So we couldn't be in a better country to create content. So yeah, absolutely love it. And there's so many good stories to tell in South Africa. Every day South Africa is a movie. There's something crazy.
South Africa is a movie. I love that because that's also a saying, right?
Yeah.
People are like, South Africa is a movie.
Literally.
So grew up in Cape Town. What made you start? Was this your first TikTok? Did you go onto the internet and you were like, cool, I want to create content. I want to do something. Let me tell stories about South Africa. Was that the seed that was planted?
It's a good question. So no, it's not my first channel. So my first channel was actually a rugby channel. It was.
Oh, you're a sports guy?
Yeah, I'm quite into my rugby. Yeah, so I like my rugby. And yeah, the first channel I started was called Bok Memes. It was like a South African memes page, South African rugby memes. So I started that quite a long time ago. That was like 2019, like just before the World Cup that year. And yeah, that was quite a good success. But the social media space was very different back then as well. So video content, short form video content, that wasn't really a thing.
It didn't exist.
Not really, no. So it was more graphics. Like Instagram was all about graphics, like memes, pictures, that kind of thing. So it worked at the time, did a lot of memes. I did that for about 3 years or so. And yeah, eventually I wanted to try something different and try something new. So in 2023, at the beginning of 2023 was when I started Cool Story Bru. So yeah, I've been sort of playing around in the social media space for quite a while, but Cool Story Bru, it's a very different type of content to what I was used to. And we'll probably get into that now. How Cool Story Bru started was very different to what it looks like now. So it's also changed quite a bit in the last 2.5 years.
I'm gonna get into that now. Yeah. I wanna understand. So from a backstory, just if someone's watching right now and they're looking at you and they're going, man, I follow your stories, I'm sharing them, I'm watching them, and they might have an idea to play in social media. My question is that somewhere where you always thought you would go? Like when you were at school, what did you want to be? What was the vibe?
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect it at all. So I studied to be a teacher. So that's what I studied in university, and love it. Awesome career. I have a lot of respect to all the teachers out there. Really great job. But yeah, so I taught for a year, and then I sort of got an opportunity in social media as well as a day job as well. And yeah, so I definitely did not expect to go down this route, but it's very much a new landscape as well. The short form video content is very new.
Yeah.
So I think most people who have gotten into it, they had no idea they would get into it.
No, you know that I think of other people that I've featured on the show and people that I've chatted to that are in the social media space. Funny enough, we have another episode that you can go watch of a bunch of teachers that are using the education system, what they've learned, to be social media influencers. So if you want to go watch that, you can. Hashtag that is a sponsored post from me.
Like why people get into
When you get into it, when you start, I don't know if anybody has an intention to, I don't know, create a career out of it. Most people are, I would think, using social media as a hobby. And then it sort of gets bigger than what was planned, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I did grow up loving the camera. Like I would always try and convince my neighbor to make like home movies with me. And I would love writing scripts and stuff. So it was always there. And probably most people that get into entertainment, it was somewhere there along the journey. So yeah, those seeds were always sort of planted, and it just grew from there. I think I lost it a little bit along the way. I was confused with what I wanted to do. I think everyone goes through that. It's difficult figuring out what you want to do. But
Austin, listen, you're 26. I'm sure by the time you're 36 or 46, you might change
100%.
again. Like
100%.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want.
Now.
We can do whatever we want to do.
No, that's what's so exciting about the times we're in with the internet. I mean, there's so many opportunities out there. So yeah, I've always had a passion for creating in some kind of way. Believe it or not, typically I'm not the most outspoken kind of person. I'm actually quite a shy guy, but the creating the videos is a form of creativity, which I think a lot of people don't understand, because when we think of creativity, it's usually music or art or writing, which is great, but I see the videos as creativity as well, which is why I enjoy it. So yeah, it was always there, but I love it now. Every day, it's so much fun.
Okay, so you started with Cool Story Bru, and you said that the beginning looked very different to what it does now.
Yeah.
What was the beginning like?
So when I started Cool Story Bru, it was more things about the past. So like interesting stories about South Africa. Almost like a lot of them were almost like conspiracy theories, South African conspiracy theories. So for example, a couple of my first videos was like the Kruger Millions hidden treasure somewhere in South Africa. Like, is a hidden treasure still out there? Sort of mysterious kind of vibe. And then I also did videos about like legends of giant sharks off the coast of South Africa and stuff like that. So it was more literally like stories, like almost like bedtime stories. Was how it started out. And then I kind of gauged my audience and I saw what they were interested in. I also got a lot of requests from people. I'm sure you get that too. People all the time. I know people tag you all the time on Twitter and Facebook. But yeah, I got a lot of suggestions about why don't I cover this and what's going on here. So then it sort of turned into, okay, let's just do generally interesting things about South Africa. So I did a lot of abandoned locations in South Africa, like Kempton Park Hospital and the Castle of Good Hope, all these different interesting locations in South Africa. So that was very interesting for a while. But then I started trialing a bit with the news as well. So what's going on currently in South Africa.
That's a trend globally, right?
Yes,
so you get people who either are telling stories in an easier way for viewers to digest, or delivering their opinion in some way. That's what journalism has become. It's almost like street journalism.
Yes.
That you're taking it from the paper and from the print and bringing it to life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So opinions are very important, but for me personally, I actually prefer to completely leave my opinion out of it. So whenever I do the videos, I actually prefer staying neutral and then allowing people to share their thoughts. But there's definitely so much space for opinionated content as well. I think that's important to have those voices as well. I don't think that's my role personally. And I like that. I like being neutral. And then sort of the channel, then I tried playing around with one or two good stories, like feel-good stories. And that's something only recently I've tried to invest in more. So I've always sort of touched on it, like obviously when we were doing well in sports, whatever it was, rugby, the random sports we haven't heard of as well. I've been doing that for quite a while, but recently I've tried to dig more into the feel good stories, the underdog stories, and that's like really fired me up, and I'm sure you can relate as well, because that's awesome when you actually feel like you play in a role in sharing stories that
Absolutely.
should be heard. So yeah, that content I actually want to go down more.
And you must. And I
Yes.
know somebody might be watching this right now and going, Brent, you're crazy. You do the good news, and good news is so needed in our South Africa, in our country. It's so needed. We live in a place where there is so much hard news all the time. Without good news, it doesn't give us as human beings balance of where we are, and it doesn't give us perspective that there are other stories in our communities and around us. And for me, the more good news that is shared in this country, the better it will be for this country. So you going into the space where you're going to, I mean, you still tell all the other stories, but to be telling good news as well is so important for South Africa. So I commend you on going into that space.
Thank you. I mean, I couldn't learn from anyone better
Stop
than
it.
you.
Stop it.
So thanks. But yeah, it's so definitely. I still want to. I just love doing anything interesting in South Africa, especially like the crazy things that you've never heard of. So I definitely want to do more of that. Eventually, also try and visit a lot of the locations as well. I want to get into that too. But yeah, as you said, like people in general, South Africans as well, are so easily influenced by what they see online.
Yeah.
So if they've seen a lot of negativity, that's going to have a big impact.
Absolutely. On your sentiment, on the way you see the world. Also,
100%.
let me ask, right? So you're dedicating a lot of time to this, and as far as I understand today, when this podcast is being filmed, the TikTok fund is not in South Africa yet, is it?
That's correct. Yeah.
So you're not making money off the videos that, but this is your passion. Is this your job?
It's not my full-time job. So I have a day job in social media as well.
Okay.
So through the rugby page I mentioned earlier, which I started a couple of years ago, through that I was able to get a job at a social media agency based in the UK. So I work remotely from here. So I've been doing that for about 3 years. So I help them run different social media channels, things like that. Love it, really awesome job. So I don't do the cool story stuff full time.
But you would love to. I mean, I could imagine that I see from the content that you're creating that it is your passion.
Yeah.
And you're doing great stuff.
100%.
What do you do? How are you going to create it into a sort of career or job? If is TikTok gonna get? Is the fund coming out? Is the TikTok fund coming out?
I'm hearing in chat that they're really putting a lot of pressure on TikTok to do it. Just Africa as a whole. I mean, if you look at the demographics, Africa offers so much to TikTok.
Yeah.
There's a huge African demographic on TikTok. So it's quite unfair actually that.
Well, the whole point of, I mean, before TikTok brought in the TikTok fund in other countries, now other social media platforms are also paying people because they've realized that the people that are creating the content are the entertainment. They are the product.
Yes.
You're keeping people there. You're keeping people coming back for more. You're garnering millions and millions of views. So it's only right that they should pay. I mean, I don't know why it's different in different countries. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I mean, there's so many South African-based advertisers advertising on TikTok. So I'm sure you've seen if you go on TikTok, there's lots of South African advertisers there. So what is very positive is, if you are a creator in South Africa and you have a good following, there's a lot of brands who will want to work with you. So that's been quite positive. Just from what I've seen, lots of brands want to work with creators now. Because South Africa has always been a little bit behind other countries. So it's very much an emerging market now. The creators are in a good space. They want to work with brands. But also it's a thing of, you don't want all your posts to be branded content. And sometimes they want a very hard sell.
Yeah.
It's not like you can just have your show where they're sponsoring the show. Usually they want you to speak about the product.
I want to be like, here's something that I want to show you.
Yeah, very hard sell. So I'm not a big fan of that kind of marketing. I think it's a lot more powerful if you have more subtle marketing. So I think we'll get there. But yeah, I get a little bit from Facebook, their creator fund, which is decent. But it's not enough to make a living off. YouTube, you get a little bit as well, but it's not much. I mean,
no, I mean, I see it from being in the space for the last 11 years is that some people would want to go into this as a career, and they think that perhaps creating a YouTube channel. Where's Taylor? Yeah, she wants to do her own podcast. It's her big thing. We're announcing it to the world on this podcast.
About what?
I don't know.
Sounds exciting.
We have no idea. But she has, I mean, often she'll talk about like YouTube and the money. It's not, you got to be having, I don't know, billions or big views to really get money from that.
Yes.
But you seem to be on a good path towards making this into a career. And I think your consistency in putting out videos is proof of that. You're putting in the work. So whatever way it goes, I know it will happen. And I'm so bloody honored to be sitting here and talking to you now, on the cusp of whatever, it'll be insane. What I want to ask, so you've told many stories. I'm going to ask you a hard question because it's like having kids. Yeah, it's like having kids and going, which one's your favorite one? Which is the favorite story you've told?
I get asked that often, and it's a very tough question. So I think I have an interesting answer to this. So my favorite story is probably, you might think I'm a bit crazy, but this is a story I told. It was one of my first videos. It was about the submarine shark. Have you ever heard about the submarine shark?
No.
Okay, so it was this legend that was around in like the 80s and 90s about this giant, like Jaws-sized shark near Cape Town, like False Bay. And the reason I love telling that story is because my grandfather and uncle were in the community at that time. And they say they saw the shark twice, and I'd like to believe them since they're family. So I love telling that story because it's linked to my family as well. And my grandfather was involved with getting great white sharks protected in South Africa. South Africa was the first country to do that in the world. Oh, wow. So I always like telling that story because it's a family sentiment as well. But in terms of just like fun stories to tell, it's definitely the South African accomplishments. So recently I did a video summing up all our sports accomplishments recently. That video was the most successful video I've ever done. It went so viral because South Africa is dominating probably in like close to 50 categories across sports and culture at the moment. It's crazy. Like I couldn't even fit everything into this video, and I really tried. So those videos are probably my favorite. So yeah, it's usually anything that's like proudly South African that makes you feel proud in some kind of way. That's always a winner.
So I started off today's show by saying that a lot of the time your videos, like you'll see they won't go back to the link. So it won't be like here's the TikTok or here. People literally download your videos and it becomes WhatsApp messages that are being sent around the world of good news or cool stories, Cool Story Bru, of things that you're sharing. And recently, one of the biggest stories that you told were about two guys from Limpopo who they'd saved up 700 Rand to get access to a second-hand computer. And then they'd sort of accessed YouTube and they taught themselves how to code. And they started this app that was an educational app. And you'd found the story. So that they were still sort of at grassroots level of whatever this app was. And you came across this story and you decided to use your platform. And I say those words quite strongly because you did. You took your platform and you decided to give it to someone else by telling this story that the whole of South Africa just got completely sucked into and everybody wanted to help them. But that was because of you. You found them, you retold their story, and then everybody cared. Powerful, powerful stuff.
So powerful. I've never seen a reaction on a video that strong. A video I've done. The reaction to that was huge. The number of messages I got asking for their contact details. I linked their GoFundMe campaign as well. The amount of donations they got. In 24 hours they got 80,000 Rand, which is crazy. In 24 hours. Like there was something about their story that really resonated with South Africa, which I didn't expect at all. Now I heard so. Can I tell the story of how I...
Absolutely. This is why you're here. We want to know the backstory.
Yeah, so, I mean, no one really knew about them at all. So how I came across them was they had their own TikTok page and they had one viral video, which was doing well. It was something like they were sitting in their village and the text was along the lines of, we're building the next Google or X giant in Africa, and got a lot of feedback, which was great. And then a few people tagged me in those videos, like saying I should cover the video. But the problem was there was no information on these boys out there at all. Because usually I base it on what's in the media already, so what people are reporting. So it was the first time I actually had to try and get the information myself.
Yeah.
So I reached out to them and asked them, like, tell me your story. So they sent me paragraphs of their story, which was crazy. And there's some details which I'm sure they'll speak to you about, hopefully, which I haven't been able to speak about yet, which when the audience hears is even more inspiring. But basically, as soon as I heard about how they came from a rural village, taught themselves how to code, and they didn't even have a computer, they had to save up 700 Rand for an old second-hand computer. And I've tried teaching myself how to code. It's one of the most difficult things to do in the world. These guys with much less than I've ever had taught themselves how to code. It's crazy. So the story told itself. It was easy. I just shared the story, what they told me. And it really was such a positive reaction. Crazy. And yeah, I'm so thankful. I mean, and their app is so good because there's so many South Africans who don't have access to textbooks or extra classes or barely even the internet to watch tutorials. And their app is like a one-stop place for anything, for tutoring, for extra lessons, for information. And they're passionate about education as well. Marvel, one of the guys, is a tutor himself. And what Marvel told me as well, which is so impactful, is Google, Facebook, all of these big giants have tried to solve the education problem. But what makes their story so different is they actually went through it themselves. So all these other tech giants who have tried to solve the problem, they haven't gone through those trials themselves. So that's what makes their story so unique. So now they've gotten so many great partners, and I'm really excited to see what's next for them. And they deserve it. I think it's also like the first time in South Africa we've had a possible tech giant come out of South Africa. Yeah. We've had a lot of great inventions, but we haven't really had a big app or a big tech thing.
So Austin, I love how humble you are, which is, it's so beautiful to see. So for just sitting here for the last 22 minutes, you are very passionate about South Africa. You're proudly South African. You're creating real positive change, and you're incredibly humble. He didn't mention, and I'm excited because I'm going to have the Novar guys on the next episode, which is going to be really cool to dive deep into their story. But from you sharing that story, you managed to raise a bucket load of money for them. And then a massive corporate got involved and gave them the infrastructure, skills, and R1 million.
Crazy.
That's why when I started with their story, you did that. Like, that was you. And it's absolutely beautiful that you realize that and that you can continue doing it. I think that's super cool.
It's my biggest privilege to cover their story. It was amazing. I mean, to be able to be the first person to tell that story was so amazing. And it's the first time I think you featured me in one of your articles. Well, so then I knew I made it. Then I knew I made it. So.
Stop it. I'm really, this is the most stupidest question, and I'm going to ask it because I'm going to ask it. Where to next? So what is the plan? What is the plan? There's the question.
I don't know. That's a good question. So I think what I'm trying to focus on is just the present, and just to enjoy what I'm doing now. I probably should think a little bit more about where I want to take the brand, and the problem is I'm not as business minded as a lot of people are, so I maybe need to get some people in to help me. But I'm just trying to focus on enjoying the present, just enjoying telling the stories, creating the content, and just share it with as many people as possible. So I think that's just the goal for now. And it's what I always say to people. A lot of people ask, like, what's my biggest tip for creators who want to get into it? And I always say, cover content that you enjoy, that you're passionate about. Yeah. Because then it's easy to be consistent.
Yeah.
Because starting out, you're not going to get views, you're not going to get viral or anything like that. But if you enjoy what you're talking about or creating about, then it's easy. Then you'll want to do it anyway. So I love doing the stories. I learn so much myself doing it as well. So even if no one watches the videos, I feel like I'm still growing because I'm learning. I'm trying to improve at a skill. So yeah, it's my favorite thing is all the people I get to meet through this journey. So yeah, that's been really great.
So something that I love that you said there was consistency.
Yeah.
And it's my biggest advice to anybody. I'm very blessed and I'm very grateful for the journey that I've been on and this thing that I created and what it's become. But it was through consistency. It was through loving what I do, great content, loving the content, and then just being consistent at it. And you are wise beyond your years. I think even though you're not in the classroom anymore, you're still teaching us all something, which is super rad for everybody watching this.
Oh, thank you. And again, South Africa, it's the best audience. I mean, we South Africans. No one can criticize South Africa except South Africans. Like we very proudly South African. So yeah, it's such a cool country to be involved in that way because South Africans are the best people. We've been voted the friendliest people in the world, as you know. So yeah,
absolutely.
So yeah, it's really such a great privilege, and I'm so grateful to everyone who watches the videos. And yeah, it's surreal sometimes that so many people resonate with it and enjoy it, and yeah, I feel so grateful.
I'm not even going to tell you to keep doing what you do because you are going to anyway. And we will be here on the sidelines shouting for you like cheerleaders, watching your content, sharing your content, speaking about all the cool stuff that you share. And I hope you've enjoyed getting a behind the scenes of who Cool Story Bru is. He's got a name, it's Austin, and he's a really rad guy. I've loved sitting down with you today. Thank you so much for flying up from Cape Town to Johannesburg to be with us. It's been absolutely incredible.
Thanks so much for having me on. Yeah, huge privilege for me. So yeah, I really appreciate it.
If I'm gonna also say something silly now. If maybe somebody has never heard of you, where can they find you online?
Yeah, so I'm on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Those are the main ones. Just Cool Story Bru. You should be able to find me.
It's that simple. And I'm almost sure that you've seen, even if you don't know it, you have seen his videos because you get shared all over the place.
Thanks, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in.
You.
It's been
Thanks
so incredible. To everybody else who's been watching, it's been absolutely rad. If you want to see more of the interviews, there are loads of shows with great South Africans. You need to like, subscribe, share, do all those things because that's what we have to say on these platforms. It's been so great hanging out with you. We'll be back with another episode next week. Wishing you only good things. As I always say, okay, love you, bye.